How did you know you were rushing through your first film and the whole process? Like, what was it? Feedback? Was it an epiphany you had, or?
Just me watching my own material. You know, I think that filmmakers need to be honest with themselves. And not everything you make is going to be great. But at the same time, everything you make should be a testing ground for your next project. We are filmmakers. It's a craft. People have to remember we're craftsmen, crafts ladies, you know? And so it's a matter of, and with film, you bring all these different craftspeople together to be able to create one piece of work. And it's one of those things that people don't think about enough. And I always talk, to a bunch of students and say, like, listen, like, you'll learn more by doing than you will in school. Because you have to do it. You have to fail. You have to figure out what works and doesn't work. But I learned that I was rushing through things by watching stuff myself after the fact. I was a bit naive, a bit arrogant, and thinking that, what I would make money. And thankfully it all has. It's interesting. It's like I have a very different business model. I keep saying that. But like all my films have been profitable except for one. That's the only film that we sold. It's very strange, because I firmly believe in theatrical distribution. I believe in what I call a $10,000 screening, where you were actually netting $10,000 at a screening. So we'll have this, I'll rent the largest place possible, sell as many tickets as we can. We tier the ticket prices, $10, $35, $125. That's $125. And so we, for instance, $10 just gets you in the film, $35 is the film and after party, the $125 is a pre-party screening and after party, and then also like swag bag sorts of stuff. Then we hand out film bills that we sell advertising in. I literally make we have merch and all these sorts of things. So I literally will net at least 10 grand, per screening. And I generally do that in the early parts of film release. And I've been successful at it. So you string a number of those together, you're in the black. So it's like just a model that I've created for myself. And I also have I always have some other sort of IP involved. Like for instance with AKA, I told you about earlier, the film tanked, it didn't do well, but I made more money on a cocktail book that I made associated with the project than I did on the film itself. But I still equate that to the film because it's all part of the same property. So I always think about like creating different revenue streams for every project. Like for instance with Billboard, I created a radio station, WTYT 960. We have the web series. We have now the interactive play, and we have the feature film. And then with all that stuff, we can sell sponsorships. Because we're actually showing off brands within the content that we've created. And so that drives a whole other level of income.
How many sponsorships do you have for Billboard?
4, 6, 7, 8. There's nine sponsors.
9? Okay.
And I'll be very candid. They go anywhere from 9,000 up to 40,000.
I see. So and 9,000 is your minimum entry point.
Yeah.
And do you know these? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you have prior business relationships with any of the sponsors, or you just cold call?
Cold call, but also too is like I firmly believe that filmmakers need to build audience early on. And so what we did first is we created the radio station WTYT 960, where now there's well over 1,000 bands on it from, I think we're in 22 countries, 49 states. And so I did that so I knew that we had an audience. And no sponsor is going to give you anything unless you can prove that they're going to have impression counts, and unless they know that they're going to have some sort of audience for the project. So not only do we have those 1,000 bands, but then we have their fans. And we did an average of them, and each of the bands averaged at least 6,000 fans. So all of a sudden, 1,000 bands and 6,000 fans, you're at 6 million reach, which is pretty astronomical for a small independent film. And so we were able to get those numbers because we could prove that we actually had impressions. And so we had audience, and that's what's pretty fascinating about all that. But because it's not easy to do, but we were able to do it.
With the film screenings where you said you netted 10 grand?
10 grand.
What's your split with the theater? Like, how are you working?
I rent them.
You rent them, so you buy it out. So there's no.
So mind you, that's not every screening that we do is 10 grand.
Oh.
Early on, we do It's interesting because we found that we do better at events when we have events around our projects than we do just like, running a week or something like that. So we're going to be, like reformulating that model a little bit and taking it on the road. But like what we do is like we'll launch the film by that $10,000 screening, because then that also too frees up capital and also builds buzz that we then have a very good box office. And that's how it's all generated. So I've written about this a couple of times. Like I wrote something for Ted Hope's blog about the $10,000 screening and things. And it's very possible. Every filmmaker could do it. They really can. Interesting thing is because I produce and I create so far outside the system of New York and LA, that there's anomalies that happen because of that. Like, I don't know if you could do it in LA. Quite honestly, is because there's so many filmmakers making so many films here that I don't know if it would work, nor in New York, but it does work where I'm from.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you.
Yeah.
So do you have such a leg up because it's a smaller area? They want to support local artists. They're excited. Maybe they're even in the film.
Yeah, absolutely, to a point. But at the same time, again, it has its pluses and minuses. It's harder for me to produce in my hometown because of that.
Really?
Well, because I have to bring in everybody. Like there is colleges that have film programs, but I end up teaching everybody, and then once I teach them, they stick around for a couple of years, and then they come to LA. Because I don't produce enough work, fast enough to be able to sustain like full-time people over the course of a long period of time. So we end up bringing in people from New York, Philadelphia, for crew, and also some cast. Then we also fly casting from LA. So that's a problem. Is like when you're producing in places that are more remote. They do cost more. People don't think about that. Catering, per diem, lodging, transportation. But then also too is that people be like, oh, well, you get tax incentives and yada yada yada. But you only get those if you qualify for them. And so there is a certain thing that you have to be aware of. And again, it comes down to the business side of things. Like for instance, I produce off of cash flow. Not many filmmakers do that. So I don't qualify for a lot of tax incentives because I don't have the $800,000 in the bank. After July 1st, after they pass their budget, I basically, make money and spend money. That's my business model. And so I don't qualify. Okay, yeah, so it's a matter of understand, like if for instance, like producing outside of like New York and LA and Atlanta, filmmakers just really need to know what their state tax incentive is before they even, start thinking about budgeting. And also is where they're getting their capital from. There's also different, tricks and everything else that you can do to be able to obtain capital. I am horrible at crowdfunding. I have a hard time asking people for money. I think that's one reason why I have very few equity partners in what I do. I generally spend my own money, my wife and my money, quite frankly. Like we are about 82% of the resources that it took to make Billboard. And so, but I believe in all in. Like I feel like I need to have skin in the game. But I'm horrible at asking people for money. Horrible. I need another producer to ask for money. I can make the money, trust me. I can make the money, it's just a matter of like I have a hard time asking people for money.
Well, then there's maybe you feel freedom too if okay, well, this is also literally my or our project. If it's your money, if it's 80% your money, there's less need to get approval from other people for things.
Oh, you're absolutely right. But at the same time, there's a lot more risk. There's a lot more sleepless nights. I'm worried about making payroll. I'm worried about, like, literally, people watch the film. The people that work with me said it's become a bit autobiographical. And it's interesting because we've been screening the film with much success, thank God. And some people push back, like, oh, they don't like the ending and things. And I'm like, I understand that. And once they'll tend to start arguing with me in a Q&A, which doesn't make any sense to me. So so I literally ask them a simple question: have you ever owned a business? Well, I'm like, no. Have you ever owned a business? Have you ever had to make payroll? Right. Well, my father did. But did you? Well, my father lost his business. I'm like, exactly. And so the thing is, it's like people really can't walk the walk unless they've talked the talk. Did I screw that around?
No.
They talk the talk unless they walk the walk. Uh-huh. And so like my wife and I, literally, we put everything on the line. It's scary as hell. It's risky as hell. but I've made money in the past, so I keep doing it. Thank God, like we have been successful. And also too, is like people can't look at filmmaking as a lottery. I have so many friends and so many peers that see getting into Sundance as a lottery ticket, that like, they're gonna like have this huge career and everything else and that sort of thing. I love Sundance. I've had films at Sundance. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's a matter of people have to look at the long tail of their careers, that everything is a building block and you don't want to be a flash in the pan because there's only a few of them. Like you can probably name them on your two hands, right? And so how many films have been produced over the past 10 years that have gone nowhere, And so people have to think about it more from a business perspective and realizing how they can make money at it early on. And it's just a matter of not looking at it as like, oh my God, I'm gonna make this movie, I'm gonna be rich, but looking at it as, I'm making a movie, this is part of my business. Like if you make widgets, you might make different widgets over the course of your factory's career, right? If you're a filmmaker, you're gonna make different films over the course of your career. It's not all dependent upon one film. So just think about it that way. It's not like, and I'm not saying that I've been hugely successful, but I've made money, and I do this full time, but it's a grind. I work my butt off still to this day. And I lead by example. I'm the first one in my studio at 7 a.m. and I'm generally the last one to leave at 6:30, 7 o'clock. I've been doing that for 10 years, working on the same project. So it's a matter of vision. It's a matter of just really working. And yeah, it's 6.5 days a week.